Hello and welcome to Vocabulary Unit 14. Here we go. Once you've had the opportunity to copy down the terms, we have them listed directly on this slide, and we can follow in order. I think everyone is familiar with the idea of an imposter. We think of Athena taking the role of an imposter when she pretends to be Deiphobus to get Hector to stop running in the Iliad. An imposter is a person who pretends to be someone else. So yes, a person who pretends to be someone else, as we utilize the example of Athena in the Iliad trying to be Deiphobus. Potent is power, so to be impotent is to lack power, to be helpless or powerless. In the Inferno, it's very interesting to think of Satan or Dis as being so impotent. He can't do anything. He just cries and beats his wings and is frustrated that he can't remove himself from that position. Impregnable. When something is impregnable, it's invulnerable. It cannot be harmed. Right? Remember in Macbeth when he says, "Oh, Macduff, let thy blade fall on vulnerable crests." He, Macbeth, is impregnable. He is unable to be harmed. Little does he know that Macduff was from his mother's womb, untimely ripped, unable to be harmed, right? If a person is improvident with his finances, it means that he spends too much. You must mend your ways because you're so improvident. Think prodigal son. You're thriftless. You're a spendthrift. You're a wastrel. Someone who is not necessarily thrifty, frugal. Roland is cautioned by Oliver for his impudence. His impudence meaning his boldness, his audacity, his impatience, his intemperance. All of those words come to mind. He's lacking humility by thinking he can overcome the Saracens and not sound the horn. Lacking modesty or humility, insolence. If someone says, "I cannot impugn your honesty without some form of evidence," impugn is a verb meaning to doubt or to challenge. If you use the word imputation, you cannot ignore the imputations in Tiresias' speech that Oedipus is the murderer that he seeks. Imputation, noun, is the charge, the reproach. A charge or reproach. You can't ignore the imputations in Tiresias' speech about Oedipus. And if you're feeling incensed over something, to incense someone, I was incensed at your decision. Uglino will only tell his story so that Ruggiere's name will live in infamy. He wants Ruggiere to be incensed. He wants to anger or infuriate him. Great. Okay, moving right along. Our next set of words. If you think about something that is sounding incessantly, it means it cannot stop. It is uninterrupted. Incessant. Long-lasting. Your incessant whining drives me crazy. There's no pause. You might have had an inkling that the character in this story never truly escaped. even though we traveled with him for a day and a half as he was heading back towards his home, and he's embracing his wife on the last page, and yet he never left the bridge at all. That's the occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge. You might have had an inkling or a hunch that something was off. Innovation, if you're a person of innovation, you're a person of change. You're a person of discovery, to introduce something new. We were looking forward to the innovations on the product. Gutenberg's printing press was a grand innovation during the time period of the late medieval Renaissance, early Renaissance period. It revolutionized literature. If you spend an inordinate amount of time trying to get someone's attention, as Federico does, you're spending an excessive amount of time, as he did, trying to win over Mona Giovanna. If someone's actions are insensible, they make no sense. If you're knocking someone out, if you knock each other insensible with your fist, it's without one's mental faculties. Or it could mean to be ignorant of. To be insensible is to be ignorant of something. They moved in the horse, the Trojan horse, and they were insensible to the danger that resided inside. To insinuate is to hint or to imply something. Are you insinuating that this work is not my own? To hint or to imply. And we just had a synonym for insolence, right, a little while ago, impudence. So I could actually use these two interchangeably if I wish. But when someone is being insolent or showing insolence, they're being, there is rudeness, there is haughtiness, you're being contemptuous. Some may think that Mona Giovanna at some point seems insolent, but it's really her virtue that keeps her from paying any attention to him. And maybe you have a brother or sister who is an instigator. To instigate a problem or to instigate an argument is to urge an argument or to start it, or provoke would probably be the best word of all. To provoke an argument. Brinker, if you think about him in a separate piece, he's instigating the tragic end of the book by having that trial. And then finally, our last set of words. If we say, in The Tempest, we'll actually see this word in one of Prospero's most famous speeches when he says, and all which it inherits shall like this insubstantial pageant fade. Life is nothing more than an insubstantial pageant, meaning it lacks any kind of strength. Insubstantial is lacking strength, staying power, solidity. If something is insubstantial, it is intangible. Insubstantial. An insurrection, as you may have seen in probably from the people who are living under the reign of Nero during the fire, is an insurrection is a violent uprising. We see them many, many times throughout history. Integrity is a great word, one that we know but often find difficult to put into words. Integrity is purity, wholeness, good character, virtue, uprightness, all of those words. You want to be known for your integrity, right? There is nothing at last is sacred but the integrity of your own mind. Emerson teaches us in Self-Reliance, right? The intellect is the mind. It is the faculty of reasoning, of logic, and understanding. People in the past would consult soothsayers because of their intellect, because of their ability to know things. If a person is intemperate, like Oedipus, that means that they're showing a lack of control. Remember how impetuous he was, especially at the place where the three roads meet, or even when he accuses Creon of conspiring against him. It's showing a lack of control. Intemperate. It could be excessive indulgence too. To inter a body is to bury it. I mean, think of Cask of Amontillado, when Montresor inters the body of Fortunato, chains him to the wall, and for 50 years nobody's done anything about it since. In the interim, another synonym, in the meantime, in that period of time, and lastly, this is intimate, we know as an adjective, but we're actually doing this one as a verb. To intimate something is to hint at something, right? Maybe even to insinuate, if you want to put there. Okay, I think we got them all.